What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Rich here to talk some NBA player props for Friday, November 25th. Hope everyone enjoyed the day off yesterday, but we are back again today. On Wednesday, I went 2-1 with the core plays. Unfortunately for me, Harrison Barnes did not continue his hot streak, but we are back in today with more plays and more bets. There's lots of games on the slate today. There may be some inactive, so make sure you do watch. But I did want to give you a look at some of the lines I am be looking at early. There will be some core plays in the comments later on today. There may be another video depending on how much time I have, but I was going to be a little bit busy during the day, so I did want to get you a little bit of a short list for what I'm looking at today, and we'll drop the core plays later on in the day once we get a little bit more information and I do a little bit more research. But here's a good taste of what we're looking at today because there is a lot of games and there's lots of things to like, so let's dive into it right now. For all the high-flying action, take a step back and relax. It's time to count that money, the NBA props. No look any further. You know what time it is. Presented by PrizePicks, NBA props. Let's count that money, man. All right, so there's a lot of lines here that I highlighted. De'Aaron Fox, Al Horford, Brook Lopez, Kevin Huerter, Kelly Oubre, Patrick Williams, Lauri Markkanen, and facing the Brooklyn Nets tonight, Tyrese Haliburton. Some of these lines may move. You see them anywhere from -125 to +100 on the books. But I did want to start with De'Aaron Fox because what I am seeing from him is a hell of a lot of consistency. Look at this chart for De'Aaron Fox. Over 9.5 rebounds and assists, -125 on the books, which is on DraftKings. And you see the consistency. 8 straight games, he's had 10 or more rebounds and assists. We're still getting this line at PrizePicks. Now, if you look at Boston and how they perform versus opposing point guards, they are 9th worst in the NBA at allowing rebounds and assists to point guards. The biggest thing with Boston, they really limit the small forwards. So Keegan Murray could really struggle today. I think that Kevin Huerter is still safe as you see him on this list. So this is the thing with Fox, is that he's been very consistent, very good overall. And I think this is another good matchup for him. You see it's -125 on the books, averaging 11.8. Still playing a good number of minutes. And I think against Boston, he will need to play a lot more. So I think there's a lot of upside for him in this matchup. I really like Fox. He's probably going to end up being a core play. So if you want, the cliff notes here, probably going to be a core play. You see the juice of the over, you see the consistency, you see all the things working his direction. I really do like Fox today. I talked about how I wasn't loving the assists a few days ago. I think the matchup is much better today, and you can take De'Aaron Fox. Al Horford did make the list, even though he is +100, so he's a better bet on the books than he is on PrizePicks. But I don't mind it. I was looking at his numbers. This is Kevin Huerter's numbers on Props Like Cash. He's a little inconsistent. That's the biggest problem with Al Horford. Some games he gets a lot of assists and he's around 4, and some games he's, sitting around 2. So he's kind of boom or bust in that way. But it is the number one matchup. Sacramento allows the most assists to opposing centers, 3.8 per game. And on top of that, Al Horford has been averaging around 3 over the past few days. And like I mentioned, some days he's getting 2, some days he's getting 4, hasn't really been in between, been a little bit up and down. That's why it's +100, but it's not a terrible bet, but not one I'm necessarily making today. But on the books, if you like it, I don't hate that one. I don't need to talk much about Brook Lopez. Love Brook Lopez. We've been betting him for the past few days. That points and assist number right around 15.5 because he's been getting those 2 assists very frequently. Cleveland, he's going to be able to stretch those centers, whether it's Evan Mobley or Jared Allen. He will be able to stretch them out a little bit, and he's been shooting very well. On Wednesday, I believe he scored 16 points and 14 in the first half. So Brook Lopez has been great, and I think he's in another great spot today. 8th best matchup, points and assists allowed to opposing centers. He's been shooting very, very well. His number is -105 on the book, so you could wait on it a little bit to see if it moves in our favor. But like I mentioned, it has been one that I've been playing and looking at for the past couple days and has been hitting very often. So it is probably one that I'd be willing to play again. Kevin Huerter, over 16.5 points and rebounds, I think is a really good line. The Boston Celtics allowed the 7th most points and rebounds to opposing shooting guards. As I mentioned, they are best versus the small forward. I think that Huerter, just for what he's been doing lately, has been so good. He's been averaging 20. We have him projected for right around 20, 32 minutes a game. I love Huerter. You see what he's been doing. He's been very consistent. He had one really bad game against the Spurs, but outside of that, he's been shooting the lights out and has been playing really, really well. KD talked on his pod about how great Huerter has been. You see it's -125 on the books. So I do really like Huerter today. I think he's in a great spot. They're 14th, Boston's 14th in points allowed. Again, a lot of that is because they're limiting the small forward. 22nd in rebounds allowed, and shooting guard defense is 15th in the NBA. I think they're fine. They're going to need Huerter to score. Boston's played in a couple of very high-scoring games lately. I believe the pace environment for this one is about neutral, so it's not anything crazy. But I do really like him in this one. I think he's got a great shot to go over, like I mentioned, minus 125 on the books. Same with De'Aaron Fox. We've been projected for right around 20, so I do really like that one. Another one that I think is very interesting is Kelly Oubre Jr. Did I pull up his numbers for this one? Kelly Oubre? Here they are. So Kelly's been a little bit up and down, right? He's a little hot or cold. Minus 120 on the books. Last 5, he's been playing a little bit better. He's been going over. I know that Ray and some of our other guys do like this one in the first half. So if you want to take it in the first half, that may be the better play because Kelly, he's fire and ice. Some days he gets in the first half, some days he doesn't. So if you want to take the points, the rebounds, and assists in the first half, that could be a play. The points and rebounds is slightly better based on the data. So you could take that one for the full game. As you see here, 4th best matchup in the NBA. I've been averaging around 32.2. 2 opposing small forwards. There's not a lot they're going to be doing to stop them. Again, Charlotte will run. Minnesota will run. Minnesota is on the road. They run a lot more at home. But even still, this pace environment is supposed to be around 105 possessions a game. Charlotte tends to run a little bit more when they're at home. So I do really like this matchup for them. And as you see, minus 120 on the books. We've got him projected for right around 27.3. But as you see, this standard deviation is a little high. It's a little high because as you see in the chart here, he has been a little bit up and down. That 18 game versus Philly is hurting him a little bit, but I just don't mind it, right? And this is where I'm saying, like, I want to kind of highlight some of these lines for you, show you the consistency, the reason why I'm looking at them, the reason why we could take them on PrizePicks, but the matchup is great. The data supports it. It's just, do we want to go in on Kelly Oubre right now? Probably not. But one that is interesting that I do kind of like is Patrick Williams' points. He's been scoring a little bit more recently for the Chicago Bulls and up against OKC, a team that will allow a ton of rebounds to bigger players. Patrick Williams is a very physical player down low. I do kind of like Patrick Williams' points at 10.5. He's been playing really well. You've seen this number around 9.5 at times. So I do kind of like this one. I do want to see his consistency over here. Just pull it up on PrizePicks. Oh, look at me. I can't even spell. Patrick Williams for his points. You see he's hitting 4 of his last 5 versus Milwaukee. The only game he didn't hit was against the Pelicans, but Orlando, Boston. I'm liking what I've been seeing. I watched him a little bit more when he was playing Toronto in that series a few weeks ago, and he's been playing really, really well. I just think that this is a matchup where he can get some offensive rebounds and play really well. 4th best matchup for opposing points. If you wanted to go points and rebounds, it could be another one that is very good for him. I was looking at his threes as well, if you want to take that. So that's part of the reason why as well, is that I was looking at his threes and I was like, well, instead of the threes, maybe we just take the points. Because if he can hit a 3 or 2 at plus money on the books, then he's probably going to be pretty close to that 10.5 number. It is minus 120, it looks like, on the books right now to the under. But he's been averaging around 12 points per game. He's been scoring a little bit more recently. I think they're going to need to get him involved. And he will have opportunities against a pretty light front court in Oklahoma City. So I do like Patrick Williams. Not one, like I said, that's going to be a core play, but it is one I am definitely interested in. Lauri Markkanen, over 22.5 points and assists is one that I am definitely interested in. You see here, he's been not so great consistency-wise over the last little bit, but this is totally a matchup play. Whether you want the points and rebounds or the points and assists, I think both lines are fine for Markkanen. I really like both of them. Markkanen is going to be playing the worst defense in terms of allowing points and assists to opposing power forwards in the Golden State Warriors. Or you've seen what has happened with Golden State. They like to play. They play fast. They're playing at home, so they will be playing a little bit better in this one. So I think it could be a more competitive environment. That's the thing with Lauri, is that he's been the engine for Utah. He'll continue to score. He could easily score 23 points in this game. Again, against a smaller team in Golden State, he hasn't been able to take advantage of in the past. I just really like Lauri. I think he's in a great spot today. He hasn't played Golden State this year, but they've just been awful defensively when it comes to playing bigger players. Bigger players have really, really played well against them. So I do like Lauri in this one. You see it's minus 125 on the books, 22.5. Again, he's had some bad games sprinkled in here, but I think up against Golden State, it's a really good matchup. You see against the Lakers, he went way over. Atlanta, Phoenix, Portland, some of these lighter front courts at times. The Clippers, surprisingly, even though they do have Zubac there, they can't really guard him on the outside. So I do like him in this one. And then the last one is Tyrese Haliburton. Points and assists versus the Brooklyn Nets. You see the consistency. You see the 29.5. 29.5 has been our target number all year long. 29.5 for Tyrese Haliburton. You have to consider it. Against Brooklyn, he did have one game that was great, which I believe he hit 34. And then he had one game where he kind of disappointed with 16. But over the last little bit, he has been pretty consistent, getting right around that 30 mark. It just depends on if the scoring is there. You look at his assist numbers. My goodness, 3 straight games with 14 assists. So that's the biggest thing here. 14 assists, 14 assists, 14 assists. You could take the assists. They're probably going to be 10.5, maybe even 11 at this point. You see he's hit 10. He's hit over 10.5 in 7 of his last 8 games. So if you like the 10.5, it's not a bad number. It is minus 135 on the books. Again, PrizePicks will probably give it to us at 11. I don't believe that line is out yet. But let's take a quick look just to see if it came out since I last looked at it. Yeah, see, they're a little scared right now. They don't want to give us the 10.5 for his assist line. And as you see, like, he's just been so consistent with 14 assists. So you got to go after the points and assists. That would be your target for sure. It's just, is he going to score in this one? I think against Brooklyn has been god awful at guarding opposing point guards. We know they've been bad defending the 3 on top of that. So Buddy Hield, if you like Buddy Hield, could also be in play for a 3-point ladder or just going over on his threes. They'll be high. He's been struggling a little bit recently from 3, but he is a guy you can look at. So these are kind of the guys I'm targeting, and as I said, the 8th best matchup for opposing point guards for points and assists. We've seen a lot of players who are very talented just absolutely shred Brooklyn. They do have Kyrie back, and Ben Simmons is playing a little bit better, but I think at the end of the day that Tyrese going to have a good game. And as you can see, 14 assists each of the last 3 games. All you need him to do is get 16 points, which is a very modest number for a guy who has 18.5, 19.5 up frequently for him. But 29.5 is a good number. We have him projected for 30.5, which is right around where I'm starting to question that line a little bit. So these are kind of lines I'm looking at right now. I think that Fox is a pretty good line. I really like Huerter. And then I'm kind of trying to find what else I'm looking for to pair it with. I do like Lower. I think the matchup is great. You know, Oubre is one I'm kind of iffy on. I do like Lopez again, but we'll see. So that's kind of what I was looking at this morning. I wanted to kind of run that by you. Again, we will post the core plays. Ray will look at some stuff. He'll post some stuff in the comments as well. We'll get back to you later in the day, but I wanted to show you guys some data and some things I'm looking at. Let us know what you're playing. Make sure to drop us a like and subscribe for future content. We'll see you guys later in the comments, and we'll kind of discuss some of the other plays we're looking at. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later on in the day, and I'll post the core plays in the comments, and we can talk about some more stuff. As always, if you tail, give PrizePicks hell, and if we fail, do not bail. We'll be back tomorrow with more NBA bets and picks, and maybe even a video later in the day if I have some time. I'm out, guys. I'll see you later. Peace.